guys, so I wanted to come on and do a video. This is now an issue that we've faced in some degree with both of our birth moms. And so I wanted to come on, and if anybody who watches my videos is planning to adopt, just to help give some advice on a topic to bring up and discuss. We have, for those who don't watch my videos or don't know our background, we have had 2 open adoptions, and they are both, they've both been local to where we live. We do have visitations, and I talk to both birth moms, I would say at least once a month, once every 2 months, sometimes more, sometimes less, but we have a very good relationship, and we met up, or we were matched at about 24, like around 24 weeks with both of our birth moms. And so during their pregnancies, we, at their request, not at ours, became Facebook friends. They both asked if we would, just in the process of trying to get to know each other. And so at the time, we agreed and we accepted them as friends. And so that way they really could see our lives and kind of get a good idea of who we were, and hopefully to help with their decision. And I mean, I'm not saying I regret being friends with them on Facebook. It has been a good avenue since the babies have been placed with us that they can go on and see, kind of follow through with their lives, because I am an overposter and I post tons of pictures and videos and stuff like that. So it's a good way for them to be able to see. Now with our first adoption, our son, we got him when he was 7 weeks old, and it was actually when we had posted on Facebook, his birth mother liked the post, and that's how her family found out. So I won't go in, that's a personal story, I won't go into all the details of that, but good or bad, that's not the best way to find out that a member of your family has been placed for adoption, through Facebook. But so after that, they had my name. And because I was not friends with any of them, I was friends with both of the birth parents, but none of their family. And so then her family found my name, and so I started to get some messages from some of her family that was not supportive of the adoption, and they had some not nice things to say to me about it. Because a lot of people, when you're hurt and you want someone to lash out at, I was the one to lash out at. And so since then, her mom didn't say anything bad. It was more of other extended family. But her mom also messaged me, just kind of saying she was shocked and hoping to keep in touch and those type of things. So I am now friends with her mom and 2 of her stepsisters on Facebook. And then at the beginning, we also had the issue with her mom trying to tag herself in my pictures. And I had to, politely, that's not okay. Like, you can't tag yourself in my pictures. You are welcome to look at my pictures, but please don't comment with your nickname for what you wanted your grandson to call you. She said, I won't say the name just for privacy reasons, not that it was anything too specific, but she said blank's little boy or little baby or something. And so, I had to politely, and most things I go through the birth mom. I don't try to have any kind of conflict, and I'm a very non-confrontational person. But so I, gently as possible, I would delete the comments, and I would not approve the tag request in hopes that they would pick up on that and stop trying. And then eventually did have to say something to his birth mom, and she smoothed it over with her family. And so then we haven't had any other issues really from there, except with some of the extended family. I had to block on Facebook because they continued to try and request to be my friend, and they were sending me messages. But so pretty much now our son is 2 years old, and most of the issues there have gone. I did recently, because before he was born, never discussed social media. We never said, yes, you can share pictures, yes, you can post stuff, no, please don't post these things. And for our situation is different than some, where it's local. It's not another state where our children were born. We could easily have mutual friends who know and recognize, our child from our post compared to the post from their birth families. So now, especially that he is not just a baby and he is more recognizable and he is growing into himself and really what he is going to be like, I had to ask his birth mom, because like I said, I don't go directly to her family. I go to her unless that doesn't resolve it. I try to make things as smooth as possible because right now we have a great relationship with both birth moms and I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to have any conflict. And of course, you know, with our adoptions, everything is at our discretion. So if we wanted to cut off all visits, if we wanted to cut off, you know, sending pictures, sending any updates, that is our discretion. That's not what we want to do by any means, but it is up to us. So I don't have to walk on eggshells, so to say, or so to speak, but I'm trying to. that's just the kind of person I am, and I want to keep the relationships positive between both of our birth moms. Because I did grow very close to both of them through their pregnancies and, you know, afterwards. So I did have to ask because I sent his birth mom his school picture. He's in like a Mother's Morning Out this year, and so we got a little school picture, and I sent it to her, and she asked if she could post it. Which she never before has asked. She occasionally will post a picture after a visit or just randomly, but it's gotten much less as we're almost 2 years out, she hardly does that anymore. And so we've been talking about asking her, more so her family, because she has now moved a little further away. Sorry, the dog's hit a toy. But her family does still live somewhat local to us. And so I more wanted them to stop posting things. And so when she asked if she could post it, which is not something she normally does, it kind of opened up the avenue for me to address the situation so that I wasn't just coming cold turkey, don't post any more pictures, because, you know, we've never discussed that, and so I didn't want it to be a confrontational kind of thing. So I just, you know, when she had texted me asking if she could post the picture, I said, you know, you're welcome to post this picture. We were talking and, you know, we'd like to ask that your family not post as many pictures or post pictures anymore, being that we are so close and people may know, you know, we may have mutual contacts. And just as he gets older, it's his story. And, I mean, most people we know that they're adopted. A lot of people know our story because it has been a long, crazy story. And so we've had many people that we've told and prayed for us. So it's not that we're trying to keep it a secret. But as he gets older, or as both of our children get older, I want it to be their story to tell. I don't want everyone, when they're in school, necessarily to know they're adopted. I don't want it to be something with their friends. If they don't want their friends or their schoolmates to know, I don't want it to automatically be known. So we're just trying, for their sakes, as they get older, to let them be the ones who make those decisions. And so we have now, you know, so I asked that they not post as many because as he's getting into what he's going to look like, you know, people will recognize him. And so she said, of course, and her family has not posted any pictures since then. So I don't know if she said something or I don't know how that went. She didn't say anything about how that went, but they haven't posted anymore. On his birthday, his birth grandmother posted a picture of her holding him when he was born. So clearly he was a newborn, you know, not a discerning picture. So I was okay with that. But, you know, it's just hard, and especially for a non-confrontational person to have to come back and talk about this. It would have been easier if we had at least discussed or started to discuss this beforehand. So that was the issues, kind of, social media with our son's birth mom. And then more recently with our daughter's birth mom. Our daughter is 1 year old, and I also became friends with her birth mom while she was pregnant, and her family situation was a little bit different. She was living with some close family friends, and she did not want her family to know who adopted the child. She had told them, you know, that it was a couple that had moved out of state, and they told them the wrong name. They didn't, because our daughter's name is McLean, and they called her Michaela, maybe? I can't remember exactly, but they, you know, had changed the name because they didn't want them to find out who we were and that we were still local. So I completely understand that. I would never try to, you know, involve more family or tell more family. They were supportive of the adoption. She just did not want them to know who we were. So then the last month, I'd say maybe 2 months, she has started sharing my post. You know, a couple times she would copy pictures and share the pictures, but she would always be, it's really funny. One picture she posted, she said, "This is the picture the lady who adopted my baby sent me." Like, that was the caption of the picture. But she, you know, would just copy pictures, and she was very clear, never, and not that our son's birth mom was ever, you know, tried to say she was still parenting him, but then all of a sudden she started sharing my post, which means it's got my name, it's got all of, you know, and my profile is private just because it used to be public, but now with all of the issues, I have made it private. So several times, you know, one time she did it and I'm like, okay, maybe she, because I've accidentally shared someone's post, like you're clicking and you accidentally click it and you don't realize it. So I'm like, okay, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she didn't mean to share the post. And then it happened like 2 or 3 more times. And so I was like, okay, obviously I have to address this now, and I'm not a confrontational person. And so I try to find the most sensitive, gentle way to go about this, because I don't want to come across as rude. I don't want to cause any conflict, but I just don't want her to share my post. And so I thought, which I probably should have just asked her not to share pictures, but we kind of took a baby step, and I asked her to not share my post. I said, you know, that just gives my information away, and, you know, just for privacy reasons, for us, her, you, just don't share my post anymore, please. And I can't remember exactly how I worded it. I tried my best to be nice about it, and she was like, "Oh, of course, sorry, I didn't mean to." I'm like, you meant to, you did it. I'm not mad that you did it. I'm just asking that you don't. And so now with her, since then, we have not had any issues. Oh, my camera's about to die. Hopefully I can get through this. We've not had any issues since then of her sharing. She did post one picture, but she did copy it and post it. So, and she just, through the process, has been, you know, growing more distance, and she's moving on. So I'm hoping that, like Hudson's birth mom, who rarely posts pictures anymore, naturally will take that progression, or else I'll have to come back and discuss that as well. But so all of this to say, it would have just been much easier if we had opened this topic of conversation before the babies were born or before they were adopted, because it's so much harder to go back. And at least for someone like me who's non-confrontational and don't want to have conflict, it's a lot harder going back asking them to stop than if at the beginning we would have mentioned it. Which, of course, at the beginning I didn't know exactly how it would be, you know, what I would have an issue and what I wouldn't have an issue with. So it's not always, you know, easy to know, because you don't know what to expect. But that is one thing I at least wish we would have talked about.